Is your home a haven of happiness? I'm Steve Lusk with the Red Bank Church of Christ in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm here to share with you a few thoughts from this week's My Family devotional. All this year, we've been looking at this little devotional book to help ensure that our families are living up to God's standards and improving and growing, all with a view toward becoming disciples of Jesus and bringing others to be disciples of Jesus as well. This week's devotionals center around the theme of a happy home. And there are 5 lessons that the author talks about that would help to make our homes a happy place. Now, first of all, let me say happiness is a state of mind, and it is sometimes dependent upon various circumstances. But happiness is also a choice. It's a choice that we make with regard to our own attitude, our own demeanor, our own mindset. And so part of making our home a happy home, a haven of happiness, as the author suggests, is a mindset. It's an attitude of heart. He suggests that, first of all, we all need to make more time for our families. Certainly, there are many things that grab for our attention and for our time. Work is very important, especially for those who lead a family. It's important that you spend adequate time in work and that you are fair to your employers. That's certainly true, but never take time away from family in order to focus on things that are of less importance. There could be no more important thing that you could ever do than spend time with your family. And the author suggests a specific time that you set aside each week for your family, that nothing else should interfere. He talked about back in the old days, taking the phone off the hook and just maybe shutting off the cell phone, shutting off the devices, and just spending time with family doing something special. And certainly that maybe goes against the grain of our culture in many ways, and it's maybe not within the norm, but it's something that your children, your family will remember and cherish for a lifetime. He also talks about families being a sacred place, and I want you to remember that the family is the very first institution that God ever made. He created man, then he saw that it was not good for the man to be alone, and so created a woman, and thus they became the first family. And so in the very beginning, God had the family in mind. The family is a sacred place. It ought to be held sacred, it ought to be viewed as sacred. It's set apart for God's holy purposes. The original purpose of the family was to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and then have dominion over the earth. The family was to be the core of what this world was all about. And certainly that's all a part of what being a holy family is all about. Let's remember what our purpose is here on earth. It's not just to become successful or famous or to accomplish certain goals or tasks, but rather it is to fulfill the purposes that God has for us on earth. And that's what being a holy family is all about. He talks about daily choices, and we can decide each and every day, today's going to be a good day. Today's going to be a memorable day. Today's going to be what he calls a dream day. And he talked about a dream that he had in the devotional. That was the family, everything about the day was just absolutely perfect. And I know that every day can't be perfect. In fact, the very next lesson, he talks about dealing with conflict, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But we can choose to make every day special in its own way. Every day, a day that we dream about. Every day, a day that our children, our families will remember and cherish. And then he talks about dealing with conflict, and he suggests 4 things from the scriptures. He talks about how the Proverbs say that a soft answer turns away wrath. And certainly when there is conflict within a family, we need to tone it down just a little bit. And then he talks about gentle words as opposed to harsh words. Harsh words tend to drive wedges and drive people away, whereas gentle words tend to calm fears and calm down conflict. And then he talks about controlling our temper. It's easy to lose our temper. It's easy to allow ourselves to get out of control, but controlling our anger, be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, slow to wrath. That's what the Word of God admonishes us to do, especially in tense situations of conflict. And then he talks about forgiveness and restoration, because inevitably there will be conflict in families and we will get at cross purposes. And so we need to be forgiving and we need to restore those relationships. We need to be able to say, I'm sorry, I did wrong. Will you forgive me? Let's do better. Those kinds of things. And then The last devotional on Friday, he's going to talk about our family story. Every family has a story. Do you know your grandparents' story? Do you know your parents' story? Do your kids know your story? All of these things are important. They build on the family heritage that we have, good or bad. And there's good and bad things that we can learn from our own family stories. So share those family stories with your children, with each other. Talk about them, find out more. And the more we find out about each other and about where we've come from, the more we'll understand where we are, and certainly be able to apply that to where we're going. Well, I hope that you will enjoy this series of lessons this week about having a happy home, making your home a haven of happiness. And I hope and pray that your home is a place where happiness prevails because of attitudes and a mindset that you have on a daily basis. If we can ever help you here at the Red Bank Church of Christ, we encourage you to give us a call or email us. Let us know what we can do to help. We'll be glad to do so. We'd love to see you any Sunday, any Wednesday evening, to worship with us, to study the Bible with us, to fellowship with us. We'd love to do what we can to reach out to you and encourage you in any way. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a great day.